Okay, let me scoot this back a little bit. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend and are ready for this beautiful Monday morning, or I guess depending on where you're at, it could be afternoon or evening. But regardless, I'm happy to be here with you. Let me open up my chat here, get things rolling. Feel free to drop me a line. Love to hear from you guys, hear how you're doing. It's great to be back for another month of Scrivener webinars. So let me. Sorry if I seem a bit frazzled. Had a bit of a rush this morning with the kids and everything, so my brain's kind of going left and right and up and down and all over the place. But hopefully I can get things going here and I can get my jitters out. Whew, man. Well, let me real quick remind everyone, if your chat isn't switched over to everyone, I encourage you to do so everyone can hear from you. Looks like mostly everyone is. Welcome, Marjorie. Welcome, Edwin, Christine, John, Alexis, Tiago, Felodi, Sonia. It's good to see a lot of familiar names and some new people as well. This is great. If this is your first time here, I want to hear it. Let me know. If you've been here before, let me know as well. I want to hear it. If you're returning for another session, that's great. I'm happy to have you back. If you're new, perfect. This is a great place to be. First time caller from Scotland. Welcome, Robin. Happy to have you here. That's great. Sonia, first time here as well. Great. Donna, first time. Catherine, repeater. Good to have you back, Catherine. I remember that name. Alexis, first time. Jenny, first time here. I'm Jenny from California. Welcome, Jenna. Welcome, Jenny. And I apologize if I butcher your name. Bear with me. I do my best here. Repeater, because I always learn something new, Marjorie. That's great. And you'll find that again and again. I know a lot of you come again and again. There's always stuff to learn. Repetition is key here, right? If we want to learn, we learn again and again. Practice until we get the hang of it. So happy to have you all here. Let me just adjust my microphone a little bit so I can have it right here in front of my face. Well, great. Oh, this is perfect. And so for those of you who are, just let me know, what would you rank your skill level of Scrivener right now? Let's do a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I guess you could go 0, I have no idea what I'm doing. 1, it's like I'm beginner, right? And 5 being like, yes, I am amazing. I'm a Scrivener savant. I know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, good. Okay, 1, 3, 3.5, 3, 2, 2.5, maybe. Okay, so we've got some people kind of in the middle ground. Some people here like, oh, I see 1, 4. That's good, John. Good to see you with a 4. That's great. And Catherine, a 4. That's good. I'm glad to see you guys willing to rank yourself up there. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. And Christy says, I have some idea of what I'm doing. That's great. Perfect. Well, excellent. Well, we have a good round of people scheduled today. I had just over 200 people registered, so we're going to give everyone just a couple more minutes to get in. As a reminder to everyone, this is being recorded, okay? So the replay will be available afterwards, so stay tuned for that. I'll get you all the information for that here in a minute. Here, let me grab my notes before I go too far. I do have Alex from our technical support team here supporting us today. She'll let you know, help you answer your questions throughout the session, right? And any questions you may have there, she'll get you squared away as we go through the session today. Let's see here. If there are any technical difficulties, you can't see my screen, you can't hear me, something happens, she's the one to reach out to in the session, and she'll let me know kind of what's going on, because I can't always see, unfortunately, what's going on when I'm in the middle of that presentation there, but we'll do our best here. We're looking good so far. Yes, Ellen, 200 people. Yes, we had a lot of people sign up for this, and this is a good session. We're going to talk all about outlining. I am really excited because outlining is one of my favorite things, and I think it's one of the things that Scrivener is really, really good at. So we'll look at that through that lens today, and we'll talk all about it. Let's see here if I'm missing anything else. I don't think so. Talked about that. Yeah, so the replay will be available on my YouTube channel and in the Literature and Latte webinar library. And I will give you those links here real quick while I'm thinking about it. Let me see if I can find it. YouTube is here. Oh, I got to use the wrong scrolling wheel. There we go. That's my YouTube. And the Literature and Latte library is literally just literatureandlatte.com/library. And if you want to see, those ones go quite a bit further back, so if you want to see some of my earlier ones, that's a great place to go to. There we go. And Jenna says, my journalism and English professors from college always rave about Scrivener. That's great. Yeah, it's an excellent academic tool, too. I used it all throughout college. Yeah, I love Scrivener. It's so versatile. You can do so many things with it. It's great. You have a really good point there, Jenna. Excellent. Okay, well, looking good here. I think we'll give. Oh, we're 6 minutes after the hour. I think we'll go ahead and get started here. And for those of you just jumping in, the replay will be available. So just hang tight. That will be that we'll get that taken care of. And which labels button? Okay. Okay, we'll see what we can do here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm going to share my screen. Which screen do I want? That screen right there. And let's go ahead and do play, and we will get rolling here today. So welcome everyone to yet another exciting Scrivener webinar where we're going to talk about mastering Scrivener, how to outline your novel in Scrivener. I cannot wait. Like I said, this is a webinar I've been working on for a while. I'm really excited about it. I've had a lot of people request this webinar, so let's dive right in. Let's just jump into it. Now, before we get too far into it, I want to go over our schedule here for today, and we'll just spend a few minutes talking about that. So to begin, we'll have a short introduction to our topic and what you should expect to learn. I also, if those of you who are on my newsletter may have heard that I recently launched a new Scrivener template called the 0 to First Drafts Scrivener template. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that is, how you can get a copy of it if you're interested. And so we'll look at that here in just a minute as well. After that, we're going to move on to our training where we'll cover how to use, how to outline your novel in Scrivener, very simply and basically. And finally, to wrap it up, I'll provide you all with a wealth of great free resources you can use to utilize and deepen your understanding of Scrivener and improve your writing skills. And I'll also leave plenty of time at the end for that Q&A, so I'll do my best to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, and then of course, any questions we can't get to, we'll make sure we get you the right resources to get where you need to go. Okay. Perfect. So for those of you who are new and don't have any clue who in the heck I am Oliver Evanson. I'm a writer, I'm an editor, I'm a Scrivener mentor, and most importantly, I am the outreach specialist for Literature and Latte, and I do all this, and I love it, and it's so much fun to have this opportunity to teach you guys all about Scrivener. Now, I've been using Scrivener for the better part of 15 years to improve my own writing and editing skills and to get my projects done, and I'm eager to teach you these skills in my position as the outreach specialist for Literature and Latte, the creators of Scrivener and Scalpel. Now, for those of you who are interested, I love connecting with you guys, love reaching out, love hearing your ideas, learning together. If you'd like to connect with me after the event, send me an email. You can see my email address right there, contact@ogevanson.com, or better yet, you can join my email list. I frequently send out valuable tips and techniques to help you become a better writer and Scrivener user. And all subscribers do receive that free copy of my starter novel template, which is only getting better and better thanks to feedback from writers like you. So thank you so much. Okay. Now, I am really excited to talk about this. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's not the core part of our presentation today. But before we begin, I just want to express my amazement at the overwhelming positive response of my launch of the 0 to First Draft Scrivener template. It's been exciting to see so many of you eager to reach out to me to learn more about how to use this template. In fact, we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at it today and kind of comparing and contrasting it a little bit from my free template, the starter novel template, and this one, the 0 to First Draft template here. So, as writers, we know that the journey from idea to final draft can be really long and arduous. It requires dedication, perseverance, and a willingness to constantly improve our craft. So I created the 0 to First Draft Scrivener template with these challenges in mind, hoping to provide you with a resource that can help make this writing journey just a little bit easier for all of us. Now let's not forget, though, the tool is only as effective as the person using it, so we must continue to put in our own hard work and push ourselves to reach our goals. So as part of the presentation today, I'll kind of show you how this template works. It's in some ways similar to the Starter Novel template, so if you already have the Starter Novel template, don't feel like you have to get this template. It's not necessary. It is, but it does offer some additional features if you're interested. So let's take a peek here real quick at the differences between these two templates. So my Starter Novel template and the 0 to First Draft template. Okay. Now, like I said, all newsletter subscribers get access to this template for free. So if you want to get access to the Start Novel template, please do. It's a great template. It's an excellent foundation for all writers to begin. However, if you want to elevate your Scrivener experience, my Zero to First Draft template is a great choice for you. Okay, so you can see right here. Let's take a quick look at these differences between these two. For starters, the starter template includes the manuscript folder set up for a series. It includes 6 ready-to-use templates, a user-friendly interface. It's free for all subscribers. And I didn't include it there, but it's compatible with all versions of Scrivener: macOS, iOS, iPadOS, and Windows. Likewise, the Zero to First Draft template includes everything in the Starter Novel template, plus my Zero to First Draft activation guide, the Writer's Toolbox, which is the concept I will teach you about later, my 3 laws of Scrivener organization, 10 plus templates, built-in custom metadata, and more targets, all sorts of fun goodies and things, and it's also compatible with all versions of Scrivener. And today I'm actually offering still 10% off I decided to extend it. I had such a great response. I was so excited to see everybody wanted a copy of it. So if you still want to get a copy and you haven't got your copy yet, I'm offering 10% off still for the whole week with ZTFD 10. So if that interests you, you can go to ogevanson.com/shop or check it out there. Sorry. So both these templates are excellent resources offering valuable tips and techniques for you. You really can't go wrong with either one. It's totally up to you. Whatever makes sense for you, do it. You want it free, get it free. You want a little extra, go ahead and purchase that one. So thank you so much for hearing me out. Let's dive right in to our expectations for today's session. And if you want links for that, I'll get those for you at the end, okay? So first off, the one thing I hate more than anything is to spend 45 minutes before the presenter even gets to his training, if he gets to it at all. And that's why I always establish clear expectations for what I promise to teach in each session I do. So in this webinar, you can expect to learn 3 skills, okay? I promise to teach you how to use the binder to quickly structure and outline your novel. 2, how to use the outliner to build upon your outline in the binder and track your novel's progress. And finally, how to use the index card's versatility to outline your novel in ways that are efficient, productive, and exciting to you. So by the conclusion of this presentation, I am confident that you will be really excited to start outlining your next novel in Scrivener, or maybe even your current novel if that's where you're at. Okay, so let's talk about the tools we have available in Scrivener for outlining our novel. Now, Scrivener offers a variety of very, very powerful tools for outlining our novels. Now, here today, I'm going to highlight my 3 favorite and explore how you can use them, whether you're a plotter, a pantser, or a hybrid like me. A plotzer is kind of what I like to call myself. I'm not quite a plotter. I'm not quite a pantser. I'm somewhere in the middle. So first off, we're going to look at the binder, which is really the backbone of our project. It's very key. It's a great outlining tool, believe it or not. Then we're going to move down to the outliner, which expands the binder view and provides optional metadata to elevate our outlining capabilities. And finally, I think this one's going to surprise you a bit. We're going to conclude with the index card, a versatile tool that can be edited and used in Scrivener's corkboard and inspector. And you might kind of find it interesting that I'm focusing more on the index card than actually on the corkboard itself. The corkboard is an excellent tool, and it is part of the index card, but that feature of the index card is available in all sorts of different aspects of Scrivener. So we're going to focus in on that and see how we can use that index card in different ways. Okay. So tool number 1, the binder, okay? Now we're going to take a look at this through 2 different lenses, plotters and pantsers. If you find yourself somewhere in the middle like me, where you're that plotzer, right, just find some combination of these 2 methods that work for you, okay? So let's dive right in. First off, as a plotter, if you're a plotter, the binder is most definitely your best friend. It allows you to easily organize and rearrange chapters, scenes, and even individual notes within those scenes. You can color code your sections for different plot threads or character arcs or status. Now, if I'm a plotter, I might want to start out with structure. I'm probably going to start with structure because I want something stable, some scaffolding, some foundation there to hold up the novel I'm building, right? Now, so if I'm using my starter novel template, I'll have the advantage of my templates to quickly establish a structure of my choosing, okay? Now, if you're a pantser, you're probably going to approach this a little bit differently, right? The binder is still your best friend. You might say, "Oh, Oliver, I don't know about that. I don't really want to just write, structure everything out," and that's fine. Even though you may not enjoy structure as much as a plotter, you'll likely prefer to skip the intricacies of a 3-act structure and plotting methods and all that narrative jargon. You're still eager to dive in and get writing. So how do you get started? How do you proceed with that? Well, I start by creating chapter or scene folders, so a very simple organization, and then use document titles as launching pads for my ideas. So when inspiration strikes for a scene, create a document, title it, and then worry about that organization later. Just try to group similar ideas together. Ideally, though, later should be shortly after completing that scene. Now, just because you're a pantser doesn't mean you can't be organized, right? You can do it. Just a little bit of organization, not too much. That kind of goes into my laws of organization if you want to learn more about those. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and we're going to start the demo right now. I'm going to shut this down real quick. Come on. Okay, there we go. And I'll share my other screen so you guys can see it. Where did desktop 1 go? There it is. Okay. I'm just going to move some stuff out of the way for us. So real quick, you see I have my project templates shown up. Now, it's worth noting that, although I love these templates, these are great templates. You have all sorts of great existing templates in Scrivener. We have a blank template where it's just blank. You can just start with nothing. Fresh canvas, nothing in there. And some people, especially pantsers, are really going to like that kind of template where there's just nothing else in it. We have our fiction templates, which are built in. This one right here, in case you're wondering, is a NaNoWriMo template that we offer for free. So during NaNoWriMo times, during Camp NaNoWriMo, and I think in November and October, we also offer this. So if that's something you're interested in getting, we'll be offering that again here in probably just a couple months here. So watch out for that. We have tons of nonfiction templates, script writing, and then some miscellaneous ones as well. Now, for our purposes today, I'm going to go ahead and use my starter novel template. That's the free template I offer, so you guys can see how to do this for free. It doesn't cost you anything. You can just dive right in today and get started. And we will take a minute here also and look at the 0 to first draft template if there's anyone who is interested in seeing that maybe closer to the end. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here with, I'm just going to call it my starter novel. Now, ideally, if you're new to Scrivener, you want to save this somewhere you can find it. Now, you'll know from me, I keep all mine in Dropbox, Apps, Scrivener. And that's because I want to have access to these projects on other devices, and I also like the idea that my projects are safe in the cloud. Okay. Now, some people aren't comfortable keeping their projects in the cloud, and that's perfectly okay. You can go to Documents, Scrivener Projects, and create a folder called Scrivener Projects and just save it right in there. Now, I may have one already called. No, I don't think so. Let's go ahead and click Create and see. Yep. We'll create that up, and there we go. It opens right up for us. We're right into our template, and we're ready to get started. Now, I have a little introductory thing about this template, how it works. You can read through that once and then delete it if you don't need it. That's exactly what I do. Or move it away, move it somewhere else so it's out of the way for you. But essentially, let's talk about now how we will use our binder to get started outlining our novel. Now, first off, I use document templates. And this is where the starter novel template is going to give you a leg up over, say, let's look at it, just the regular fiction template here. Okay. So we'll go ahead and create this so we can kind of compare and contrast novel template. Is that I've included some default templates that I have used again and again. That's what I love about both these templates I've made, is that these are things that I actually use in Scrivener. I didn't just throw something together and say, hey, this is great. No, this is stuff I actually use every day when I'm working on my own personal projects. So we're going to go ahead and make this bigger. You can see here, if I wanted to get started here, I just have a scene. I could just get started writing, but there are no templates other than just our basic character sketch and a setting sketch. Okay. But as a plotter, I want a little bit more structure. So right away in my starter novel template here, I have my series title. So I'm assuming that I'm writing a series, and I have a book 1. And inside book 1, I have Act 1, Act 2A, 2B, Act 3. And so already I've got a leg up. If I'm writing 3-act structure, if I'm writing in the save the cat plotting method, I've kind of already got myself set up for that. And I can even do that again and again. I can come up here, click my little add button. Let's make sure I have my series title selected first, okay, that manuscript folder. And then we'll click here, and you can see there I have my book template. I can click the book and I create another book. We'll call it book 2, right? And so on and so forth. I could build a whole series out if I wanted to. Let's do it. Let's do a trilogy. We'll do 3 books like that, okay? So we got 3 books, trilogy. We'll just call this. Does anyone have any ideas for a name for our trilogy? Let me go ahead and open my chat so I can see what's going on here. Everyone. Finding Gemini. Ooh, I like it. Let's go for it. Finding Gemini trilogy. Throw out some book names for me too. Let's give some names to these books. That's another big thing about me, organization wise. You want to title everything. You want to keep things, very clear and easy to understand inside of your draft folder. And you notice I don't initially for the basic structure. I do use like 1, 2, book 1, book 2, book 3, act 1, act 2, etc. But realistically, I want to change these names to even more descriptive names, actual part names or book names to make that even easier to navigate. So I can look at it and just say, oh, that's book 1. It's talking about this, that's the name of the book 1, and that's the name of part 1. That's it kind of gives me an insight of what's going on inside of the part, the book, or the act. Oh, the Lost Gemini. Okay, there we go. The Lost Gemini. Okay, we got. I like this. Actually, I like this. Okay, there we go. The Lost Gemini. We've got A Tale of Two Minds. Good. And we've got Venus, Lunas, and Mars. Why not? Let's go for it. Okay, so we got our book titles. I didn't get that one. Paste. Nope, I didn't get that. Let me grab that. Sometimes copying from Zoom is a pain. Okay, so there we go. We've got those things. We've got, okay, it's already looking pretty good, right? And then we're going to build out our structure a bit more. So let's see here. Build structure first. You can see now this is already basically done for me. Look, I've already got my 3-act structure set up. Let's assume I was doing, this is the save the cat plotting method where you do act 1, 2A, and 2B, and act 3. So I've kind of got that already set up to go. All I have to do is come in here and add some chapter templates in. Okay, and that kind of gets me started. And each of these have scenes inside of them with targets, kind of fun, right? So I already have something ready to go. And if I wanted to, I could just take these guys here rather than going add every time. I could actually just duplicate them, right click, duplicate, and then drag and drop that to 2A, duplicate again, to 2B, duplicate again, and to act 3, right? Like that. Now, slight disadvantage there is it's going to have that weird numbering, but since I'm going to be changing those titles again later, not too big a deal. And once again, as I'm outlining here as a plotter, right, I probably come through and say, okay, I'm going to just give chapter names, just kind of throw out some names here, and even with my scenes, once I get a chapter title, I'm going to go in and actually outline the scene titles too, and so on and so forth. And that's how I would approach outlining in the binder, okay? It just starts with titling things. Those titles can then kind of be springboards to later the summary or the index card that we're going to fill out later, right? And so more and more, we're just building the scaffolding. We're building the structure. We're building that foundation that will help us get our novel outlined and written, right? So that's how I would do it from a plotter perspective, okay? Now let's say I'm more of a pantser. I don't want to do all this act 1, act 2, yada, 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 all that fun stuff. So what would I do instead? So this time, let's open up a new project. And this time we're going to do the 0 to first draft template since we have 2 to work with. 0, we'll just call it 0 template. Okay. And you'll find in some ways these are very similar. In some ways they're very different, just depending how you look at it. Okay. There's our guide there that kind of takes us through it. That's my whole lovely thing. All sorts of fun stuff you can look through to see how they use the writer's toolbox, my writing plan, staying organized, etc., etc., etc. We're going to skip past all that. And we're going to look here, see, we have a manuscript folder with a series name, right? Or a manuscript, so you can kind of choose one or the other. Do you want it to be a manuscript? Do you want it to be a book? What do you want? Okay? And one thing we'll do is I have some key templates here. So there are some templates here that I don't use all the time, so I threw them in my toolbox. So I'm actually going to take my book template and throw it back into my frequently used templates. And I'm going to go ahead and add in that book, just so you could see that. So that's how we would add a book template in this specific draft here. Now let's say you're a pantser, right? You don't want a book template. Let's go ahead and move that to trash. You just want to keep things really loose. You just want to get the writing done. And so that's where I would say start with something very simple. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a folder. I'm going to call it chapters. I'm going to create another folder and call it scenes. In this way, we're staying organized, but we're not creating a structure yet. We're more like just kind of grouping similar ideas together. So if I write a chapter, I'm going to drop the chapter into there, right? So if I have a chapter template here, I'm going to drop it into there. If I just have a scene, I had a great idea for a scene and just want to have a scene, right? I'll come into my little template here. I'll search for chapter template and I'll go to scene like so and add that. Now, another cool thing about this template is I went ahead also in my key templates here. I added a bunch of different scene templates with different targets. So I could actually drag and drop those into my frequently used templates as well if I use them a lot, and come up here as a pantser and say, okay, now I just want a scene with a 250 word target, a 500 word target, a 750 word target, just something, whatever makes sense to you, right? So let's do 250 words. And so that way, with this kind of this kind of pantser method, right, I can just have different targets and just say, hey, I just want to write 250 words and kind of see where I end up with this scene. That's ideally what the length of this scene should be. I can select that option and I can just start writing. And once again, key idea here, give these scenes names. Give your chapters names. The more you do that, the easier it's going to be to find what you're looking for and keep things organized, right? And so that's how I would approach a pantser method. Now, we could do the same thing, obviously, over here in the starter novel template where we just go ahead and add those in. In this case, we'd have to actually come in and say, hey, I want to edit my scene. Actually, let's do a scene folder like this, right? Add a document, and then go ahead and set that target to 250 words or something, for example. Change that. So it just saves you a little bit of time. You don't have to do all that work. Or you'd have to come here and add one. Oh, there's the chapter template. And then come and change that target to whatever you want it to be. So, like, let's just do 300 this time. And it's worth noting you can do that anyway. And you'd have to come here and make that a change here too. So, there you go. Some differences between the two. But ideally, the same goal is accomplished. Let's see here. We talked about empty documents. We talked about titles. So that's the binder in a nutshell. It's an excellent tool. Honestly, I think sometimes we overcomplicate things. We think, hey, there must be some complex, mystical answer to solving this outlining problem. But really, it's quite simple. You can start right there in your binder, outline some ideas, throw some titles on, and get going. Okay, excuse me. Sorry. Take a drink of water there. Okay, well, let's dive right back into our presentation. Let's look at, let's see here if I can find it real quick. Our second tool, the outliner. Okay, now if you enjoyed the binder method, you're really going to love the outliner. It's essentially a beefed up version. It's essentially a beefed up version of the binder. It's like taking the binder and saying, let's add some more cool stuff to it. Let's look at it. So first off, if you're a plotter, this is another great place to use templates to quickly create your plot structure and add in additional general or custom metadata that will also help you keep track of your novel. So you'll probably want to start keeping track of various aspects of your novel as a plotter. You can use custom lists to track plot beats and settings. You could use keywords to keep track of minor and main characters. You could use text boxes to track foreshadowing. You could even use dates to keep track of due dates or timeline. All of this is completely flexible and up to your discretion. Okay. Now, if you're a pantser, right? You might be thinking the outliner, hey, this doesn't sound like for me. For one, it's got the word outline in the word, right? But I'd like you to remember that this is just an expanded view of the binder. Maybe you don't want to use you don't want to make your own custom metadata. You don't want to track a bunch of things, but there are a few key things you may still want to look at. You might want to look at things like status and total words and total targets and total progress to give you a clear idea of the progress you're making. So let's take a peek at that. And let's open up Scrivener here. So there we are, back in the starter novel template again. And we're going to switch over now to our outliner, okay? So we can do that by going to View, Outline. That's also the keyboard shortcut for that is Command 3 on a Mac and Control 3 on a PC, okay? We can also find it up here in our toolbar as well under Group Mode. So there we are. Right now, already, we're in our outliner. You can see initially it's very simple. There's not a lot going on here. And maybe just to kind of make things a little bit more clear, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my binder and my inspector, and I'm going to center this thing. If I go to the bottom right corner here, we can actually center that up like so. And if you just want to focus on the binder itself, maybe you're actually going to do all your outlining in here. This is a great way to do that. Kind of block off distractions, close the inspector, close the binder, and just have your outline front and center. Now you can see already we have some basic things set up. We have a title and synopsis. Synopsis, there is no synopses yet. That's where our index card comes into play. We'll look at that, but for now, let's go ahead and turn the synopsis off. You can see it makes it just a tad bit smaller. And we can look at labels here. We can look at status, and you can see it also has section type. Now, section type is how Scrivener views our structure, the structure of our project. So you can kind of look at it and see if it, hey, is it structuring things right? Now, right now, already I can tell you it's not, because the Lost Gemini is in fact not a chapter. It is in fact a part. So I'm going to quickly make that change real quick. Part heading. And we're actually going to go ahead and move that guy to trash by right-clicking and moving to trash. And if you open those up, you can see inside, okay, there's our structure, our Act 1, Act 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see, let's go back to the binder real quick. I have my series folder selected, so I'm able to look at all the books at once. If I wanted to single out one single novel, I could click the Lost Gemini, and there we go. I'd just be looking at the structure for the Lost Gemini. And likewise for A Tale of Two Minds or the Venus, Luna, Mars book that we have in our binder here, okay? Let's go ahead and select the Last Gemini and have that as our main one. I'm going to go ahead and move off. Let's see here. Actually, you know what? Even these shouldn't be parts, right? These should be books. Let's change that to we'll change this to sections. Sorry, that's actually a mistake of mine. Let's go change A Tale of Two Minds to section. And what that means is it's just going to have like the section title. If it has a title, it's going to put the title there. Typically not too big a deal. And here, actually, Act 1, Act 2A, those ones right there, those are parts. Now, to save yourself some time, you can hold down Shift or the Command key. Actually, in this case, you want to hold down the Command key or the Control key on a PC and select all these individually. I can right-click those, select section type, and change that to part heading. Okay, there we go. And you can see they're no longer italicized because I specifically told Scrivener that's what this is. This is a section. This is a part. If we open those up, those are chapters. Okay, now our structure is looking good. Okay. Now, typically, I don't spend too much time worrying about that in the beginning, but since I'm aware of the problem, I wanted to go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off section type because we don't really need that anymore. And we can look right now what we've got. As a plotter, I want more information. That's just me. I want more, right? And so I have my labels. Right now, there's nothing to the labels. They're just red, orange, etc. And my status is just that: to do, in progress, first draft, revised draft, etc. Maybe to keep it simple, let's do the Pantser method first because that one tends to be the most simple. So typically what I'll do, I'm actually going to turn off labels I don't really need it, okay, as a Pantser. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on just a couple extra things. I'm going to turn on total word count. I'm going to turn on total targets, if I can find it, total target. And I'm going to pull up total progress as well. Okay, there we go. And you can see right now in all of these folders, there are 0 words, right? We haven't written anything yet. But you may notice already that we have some targets set up. So if we go to Act 1, we can see each of these has about 2,000 targets. If you break that up, it's 750 words, 1,250 words, 2 scenes, and those 2 scenes make up 2,000 words. You have 3 chapters, 2, 4, 6, that's 6,000 words. You do that 3 times each, you got the book target, right, is 24,000 words. Now, admittedly, that's very small, right? that will stack up differently depending on what targets you set up for each of your scenes, right? However you want to set that up, okay? But for now, it looks good. Let's experiment with this a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and click the folder here to open it up. It's going to take me inside Act 1. I have 3 chapters in Act 1. Now, I can add in more chapters very easily, okay? Watch this. We go to Add, Chapter Template, and there we go. I got a new chapter, okay? I can even come in and just add in a singular scene. Go to Add, and just click Scene, and it adds in that scene, right? And you can see the target is already set up for, and as I add those in, that target goes up. And you can see how this might be useful for a pantser who just kind of wants to have a general idea of what they're working towards. Sometimes just having that the idea is like, hey, I'm writing 750 words, or this is when I reach about 2,750 words, this chapter is done, so to speak. Okay, so there we go. That's how we would set that up. Let me see if there's anything I'm missing. Yeah, and then I would just go through and start titling things. So guys, throw out some titles for me. Give me some chapter titles here real quick. John, you were totally correct. Naming, same great advice for anyone working Adobe apps, layers, and Illustrator. Yeah, basically, yeah. Or that's like a general organizational tool. Just give good names. And I'll admit that myself sometimes, even like on my own computer, on my Mac here, sometimes I'm just in such a hurry. I don't want to to name things. Downloads. Oh, downloads are the worst. When I download something to my computer, I'm like, oh, I should probably name this and put it somewhere, but it usually ends up sitting in my downloads folder. I'll even show you real quick just for the fun of it. You can open up my downloads folder and you'll see I just have like, oh, I gotta move my Scrivener out of the way for a second. I literally just have a folder where I just drop stuff. It's 103. It's my way of saying, okay, it's not organized, but it's in stuff. And one of these days, I will go through there, and I do take a time like once a week and go through it and say, okay, this goes here, this goes here. So as long as you have a system, just make a system for yourself. That way, you're not totally lost. Donna says, I have a folder called stuff. That's good. That's really good. To be fair, I don't do that in the Scrivener. I'm much more organized in Scrivener. I typically, when I put something in my Scrivener project, I find a place for it immediately. That's the best way to do it, by the way, the best way to do it. But yeah, when it comes to like my general Mac organization, yeah, I'm not as good. I'm definitely not as good. The Gemini mirror, thank you. I like that. Okay, oops, I got that one wrong. Let me copy that. Okay, but hopefully you can see how easy this is. We're just coming in here. We're adding in names and things. You know, we can build it out. Zodiac Falls. Let's do a character. Let's go a little above and beyond here. Let's use our name generator here. Edit, writing tools, name generator, another great outlining tool. Generate some names here. Oh yeah, that looks good. We'll just copy this over. Whoop. Copy. And I know I'm going a bit fast, but don't worry. We have a replay to watch all this. But if you want to see that again, that was Edit, Writing Tools, Name Generator right there. And you can open that up. You can set your settings however you like to. I did the previous presentation where I talked about this tool in length, so check that one out. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and copy this list real quick after we generate that. Then I'm going to throw it in my research here. Once again, good place to keep it someplace you can easily find it. New text. And we're just going to drop it in here like so. And we'll just call this character name list. Okay. So we'll go with Ida Ingres. Okay, why not? And where were we? We were in Act 1. That's right. And we will take Ida Ingres, goes to Zodiac Falls, and discovers ... something like that. So hopefully you can see this. I can widen this up too so I can see that better. And so as I'm building out this structure, you know, I'm slowly outlining this novel, right? Piece by piece, title by title. It kind of starts to get fleshed out. And when I want to get really nitty gritty with it, let's say I want to do more than a sentence, right? I can add in my synopsis, okay, right here, hit return, and start writing about the entire chapter in summary. And so I like to do it this way. I liked the idea of I'm writing out titles. Maybe I'll have multiple scenes in here, right? I could add in a couple more scenes like so. And I come up with a couple titles, and then I kind of try to take those titles and expound upon them a bit more in my synopsis right there. And then lo and behold, the chapter is outlined. It's fleshed out. It's ready to go. It's ready to start writing. When I'm ready to start writing it, what do? I just double click the scene I want to start writing, and I get started. Writing about Zodiac Falls. If I could spell. Like so. Okay, so Jessica's asking, is the synopsis then visible somewhere in the inspector when you're in the document? That is a great question, Jessica. It is. If I open up my inspector back up, I go right here. There is the inspector. And so I can add more notes about what happens in this scene here, like so. Okay, and that's the index card we're going to jump into here in just a second. We're kind of jumping ahead to get a bit. That's okay, though, because all these tools kind of work together, right? We'll back up here. You can see there it is right there. I can come here. I can hit return on a scene 2 and write more about the summary of this scene. Now, one thing I will caution you here is that while I can do this, I try to keep it fairly minimal. My document titles, my scene titles, I don't do more than a sentence. I expound those more inside of the index card or the synopsis right here, okay? And same with this one, when I'm combining all these three together, I don't just copy and paste it all together. I will copy the summary for each scene, right? I'll post it into here, and then when I've done that, here, give me a second. Once I've done that, I will go ahead and kind of condense it. That's my personal preference because I don't want to have a ton to read through. I just want the core ideas present. And an outline, I think any outline that kind of gets super long becomes super unusable, right? We want it to keep it as concise as we can while keeping the core ideas intact. Okay, looking good here. Okay, excellent. Now, if I'm more of a plotter, okay, then I'm going to want it to do a bit more here. Okay, now I'm going to go back to our 0 to first draft template. Okay, it already has some custom metadata built into it, which makes it a bit easier. Okay, not too much, but a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go into our outliner here. We're going to center it up again as well. We can see we have chapters and scenes and things set up for a pantser. But we're going to go ahead and assume we're a plotter. Okay, you can see already I have some things already kind of built in here. Okay, and there's definitely more that could be added, and it definitely will be added as the time goes by. But right now I have 3 different plot structures we can use. We have the Save the Cat plot structure, we have our 3-act plot structure, and we also have the hero's journey or the heroic journey available to you. And the nice thing about this is I can specifically go and assign this. Now it would be a little bit nicer looking at this from a book view. So let's go ahead and add in a book. Okay, add in my book template here. Bring that up. Minimize this here. We're going to go ahead and just move those to trash for now. So here's my book template. We'll call this one The Rising Sun. Why not? Something simple. Okay. And inside that, with that selected now, I can see all the acts, right? So if I'm doing Save the Cat, I can actually go ahead and start assigning beats here. So this is Act 1. This is Act 2A. This is Act 2B. And this is Act 3. Okay, so that's what's really nice about this now, okay? I hope you see this, is that I no longer have to have those in my title anymore. I can now come here and say, this is part 1, right? Or we'll call it, I don't know. I need some names. Need some more names, guys. I'm gonna steal some of the other ones. I'm not great at coming up with names on the spot. So we'll steal Zodiac Falls again. I'm gonna steal some of these. If you guys have some more you want to throw out to me, that's fine. But just so we can illustrate this better, I want to get these on here. Oops, like so. And the invisible door. I see there's more questions. I'll look at those in just a second. Okay, so you can see right now for each part I have, and we'll change these over to parts too since I'm thinking about it. I can now see the structure there. So let's assume too that you have multiple parts, 2A and 2B. Those two parts, the middle, or sometimes people call it the muddle, right? That middle of the book that's so hard to write. They grow and expand, right? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So often these will be bigger, right? Then often this is what my structure looks like. It looks something like this, where I have like 4 different parts, 3 or 4 different parts for 2A, 3 or 4 different parts for 2B, but Act 1 and Act 3 often are just a single part in and of themselves. You could have multiple parts in Act 1 and they're still Act 1 structurally speaking, but that's just kind of typically how you would see me writing. Like I'd have an Act 1. I'm trying to keep that fairly short, about maybe 10 to 15, maybe as much as 20% of the novel, and then the remaining like 70 to 80% is that 2A, 2B, and then the last like 30%, I don't even know if that adds up to 100, but somewhere there about adds up to be about 100%, right? Where we're covering about 30% here, 20% here. Let's do it. 30 plus 20, that leaves 50. So probably more like this, I'd say. So Act 1 is 15% plus 25% at the end plus, what is that? 60 in the middle, thereabout. I'm not good at math, is not my thing, but hopefully you can see the idea there. And so we can have it out, and that's so nice. I can still preserve my structure without having without it being directly in the binder. The binder still is a useful outlining tool, right? I can outline, I can see the structure, I can see what's going on there, but I can still preserve my structure here. And it goes on inside of that too. If we open this up, right, we add in a, some chapters here. Let's go ahead and add a chapter template. We'll drag and drop that into Zodiac Falls like so, okay? Once again, I can assign this beat to, so this might be the opening image, right? Depending if I'm using 3-act structure, whatever you want to do. You could even use multiple structures if you kind of want to see which structure makes more sense for your novel. Kind of mess around with it. That's one thing as structurally speaking I do too. Sometimes I think I'm writing one novel and I realize I'm writing a different structure altogether. And so I can kind of look at that and say, okay, which of these structures kind of makes sense with what I'm writing more, right? And then adapt my novel to that structure. So that's my plotter view, okay? If you're looking at it that way, that's a great way to go about doing it. Once again, you can add those in yourself. Custom metadata is right here in the center tab of my inspector. I come here, click these 3 dots. I can come here and add in all the custom metadata that I want, okay? Just click that add button. So there you go. That's how it works. If you have the 0 to first draft template, it's already set up for you. You don't have to think about it. But if you want to go ahead and create yourself, you certainly can. Just takes a little bit longer. Yeah. There you go. So that is our outliner. The last tool, certainly not the least, we're going to talk about is the index card. So give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and open up my presentation. I see there's questions, guys. Bear with me. We've only got one more tool to go over. I'm going to try to keep an eye on them, and I'll try to answer those as we get closer to the end here, okay? Let me stop sharing for a second. Share my desktop. Is it 3? Yep. And off to tool number 3 we go. So the index card is perhaps the most versatile tool in Scrivener, and probably one of the most well-known for Scrivener for outlining your novel. In fact, most people, when I hear about them talking about outlining, they're talking about corkboard. And I'm like, yes, I love the corkboard. The corkboard is great. But what about that little card that's in the corkboard? Is so versatile. It can be used in multiple ways. It can be used in the inspector. It can be used in the outliner. It can be used in the corkboard. We kind of already saw it in the outliner, right? It can be used in the corkboard. It's kind of everywhere, and I like it. I really like it. And how you use it depends entirely on your personal preferences. So for plotters, the index card can be a great visual aid for plotting out scenes and chapters directly in the corkboard. You can quickly add summaries, information, or notes onto each card, then rearrange them on the corkboard to create that visual outline of your novel. I know a lot of people love doing that. It's a great way to do it. And this is a great way for seeing that bigger picture and making structural changes. Now, if you want to view the index card more individually, then the inspector allows you to do just that. Single out any documents or folder's index card simply by selecting it in the binder, outliner, or the corkboard and viewing the associated information in the inspector. Regardless of how you use it, you can see just how easy it will be to record and edit your outline as you work on your novel in Scrivener. Now, for pantsers, I like to look at this less as an outlining tool, and more as a revision tool. Okay. Now, since your first draft is really more like a long outline anyway, you can use the index cards in the inspector to summarize each scene as you go along, rereading your first draft. And I really like this idea. Actually, the first first couple of novels I wrote, I kind of just wrote by the seat of my pants. I didn't outline them, and to be fair, they were not good books. But going back to them, I've been thinking about going back and looking at some of those novels, and this is how I would approach that process, having written those books and essentially seeing them as what they are, long outlines. I'm going to go along and reread each scene and try to summarize it, okay? And kind of see, okay, let's see if I can take the core idea here and put it back into Scrivener. Then during revisions, you can use the corkboard to view and rearrange and add more information to your scenes as needed, make changes as needed. I'm sure a lot of changes will be made when I'm looking back at mine. And this allows you to keep track of your progress and make any necessary changes while still maintaining a flexible approach to writing in Scrivener. This is also a great time to revise titles and adding custom metadata. Now, as a pantser, I know you probably won't even want to do a lot of that. It's like, it still feels like I'm outlining, Oliver, come on. I still feel like I'm doing a lot of work here, planning and structuring. And to be fair, you can't really avoid all of that. But I did have an idea of maybe how you could kind of get around that a little bit. Now, I know AI is not everybody's cup of tea, but using an AI tool to summarize your text for you isn't a terrible idea. I know, you could literally save yourself tons of time just by throwing it in ChatGPT or another AI tool and say, hey, summarize this chapter for me or summarize this section for me. And then take those summaries, read through them, make sure they're accurate first, right? And just throw them into Scrivener. That's another alternative option available to you. It's not going to be everyone's thing. I know some people get really worried about that kind of thing, but I found that's one of the few uses that AI still can serve us, is like just quickly summarize some information and put it somewhere where it's useful. Okay, let's see. Did I get... Okay, yep. Let's dive right in. Let's talk about the index card. Let's see this tool in action. Let's see how we can make it work for us. Okay, looking good. Oh, did that not? What just happened? Share. There we go. Not sure what happened there. Okay, so we're going to talk about the index card now. Let's open up okay, this is our starter novel template right here, so everyone knows that's where we're at. And we're going to look at our corkboard now. Go to our group mode here. Here we are at our corkboard. We have Act 1 selected. If I go to the Lost Gemini, you can see Act 1, 2A, 2B, Act 3, etc. If I go to the trilogy, I can actually have the books. Now, one really cool thing about the corkboard, and this is actually true in the outliner too. You saw me do a little bit of this earlier, but we're going to hide things away again. I love that I can just click on the icon and it takes me inside of that specific folder, or in this case, book, right? Now, the disadvantage here is that when I click the Lost Gemini, there's no unique names here, so it's really hard to tell what's going on. We'll just change this to part 1, so on, boom, boom, so we can see this a bit better. If we go in the Lost Gemini, that's what we're going to see, right? Part one, like that. If we go into A Tale of Two Minds, we see that Act 1, 2B, 2A, 2B. So you can see if you had very descriptive and clear names, you'd be able to easily identify where you are, right, in your book, in your project here. So we'll click that. We'll go into part 1. We'll maybe change these to part 2 and part 3 real quick. Oops, not 13. That would not be good. 4, there we go. And we can click inside there, and it takes us inside. And we can go all the way down. Okay, we're in part 1 now, Zodiac Falls. And now we're into Zodiac Falls, the chapter. We can click this one right here, and it takes us right into the document where we can get started writing right away, right? So it's this transition from outlining to writing can be very seamless, right? We can start outlining. You have an idea. You write down the idea here. We can open up our binder here real quick. I can split my editor. I'm going to go down to my character list here. I'm going to grab a character name, copy, bring it in here, and then I'm going to click inside this, and there I go. I'm ready to start writing. about character such and such. So there you go. I know it's quick, fast, it's pretty quick, it's pretty easy, but if you're confused at all, let me know. We'll look at it again. I know that's a lot. Okay, let's see here. Looking good. Okay, let's talk about structuring inside of our corkboard here. So how would I go about doing it? Let's say I didn't want to use the binder method at all. I didn't want to use the outliner method at all. What would I do? Okay, well, the good news is Scrivener is very versatile. I can use any of these tools to get started outlining right away. I'm going to turn off my binder again. We're going to go back to, let's see here. Actually, before I turn it off, let's go back to the Lost Gemini here. Actually, let's go to the Finding Gemini trilogy, and we're going to turn it off. Okay, there we go. We're right here. I can actually come here and add, like I did in the binder or in the outliner, and I can choose anything I want. I can choose that chapter template. There we go. Now I'm in the book section, so I'm probably gonna want to drag and drop that somewhere else. But let's go ahead and move that into trash. So let's go ahead and open up the Lost Gemini. Here we are in part 1. Let's open up part 1. I can easily add in another chapter like so. Boom, there we go. New chapter. And I can move it around too, anywhere I want to. I can write it, double click inside, and write a summary or synopsis. Now you see, the reason why I typically like to start with the binder or even the outliner is that I don't want to worry about the synopsis initially. That's just a personal preference of mine. I like to think about just titling and just using my titles as a very simple outline, right? But you certainly could come here. If you want more, this is a great place to be. You add in your chapter name, you hit return, and then you can expound upon that, right? If I go inside that chapter, I can then come in here, write the title, and then hit return, hit tab or return, and start writing about the summary there. The scene, right? And so I could even start backwards. I could create the chapter here, and maybe I don't know what's going on there. I could start with the scenes and write the scenes and say, okay, what's the gist of these two scenes? Right? What's the summary of those two scenes? And come back and just paste that in there and have that summary. So depending, you can work frontwards, backwards, you can work any way you want that makes the most sense to you. And I think that's the beauty of Scrivener, is that we have that flexibility to kind of work how we want, when we want. Let's see here. Index card, inspector. Okay. Oops, wrong button. I think we've hit the plotter section. Summary scene chapters. Yeah. AI title. Yeah, I think, honestly, unless there's any specific questions about the corkboard, there might be one more thing I'll show you. Now, let's open up our binder here. When I move things on the corkboard, you're going to find real quickly that what the structure I change here, let's open it up, is the structure that will actually change in the binder here. So it's all connected like that. Now, let's say I didn't want to make any of those changes yet. That's where another tool comes in here called the Freeform Corkboard. It's here in the bottom right corner. If you can't find it, you can go to the Help menu and search Freeform. It'll pull that up. It's under View, Corkboard Options, Freeform. And the nice thing about this is that I can move things anywhere I want to and not have to worry about them changing the structure of the novel yet, until I'm absolutely sure. I'm like, yes, that's the structure I want. And when I am ready to commit to a structure, I go ahead and organize them as such. I click commit in the bottom right corner, and then I can kind of choose the way I want Scrivener to look at that structure. I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to move left to right. So it's going to do the Gemini versus Capricorn, the Gemini mirror, the invisible door, the rising sun, and the zodiac falls. And it's going to reorganize my binder like so. Click OK, and there you go. They've all been reorganized. But the point is, it didn't happen until I told Scrivener to do it. And so that's one really nice advantage of using that freeform cork mode. So there you go, guys. Hopefully that gives you a solid start to get you outlining and writing your novel in Scrivener. So we did it, right? Today you just learned how easy it can be to outline your novel in Scrivener. It doesn't matter if you're a plotter, a pantser, or a plotzer, somewhere in the between like me. These three tools, the binder, the outliner, and that index card can quickly help you outline a novel while maintaining an organized, productive, and most important, creative workflow. Even if outlining isn't your favorite part of the writing process, using these tools in Scrivener can make it a highly enjoyable experience. Plus, who knows, you might just discover a new method that works best for you. So don't be afraid to experiment. Have fun here, try things out. There's no really right or wrong way to do this. After all, writing really should be an adventure. And with Scrivener by your side, it'll be an adventure filled with organization, creativity, and ultimately success. Okay? Okay, well, let's talk free resources. I got a lot of great free resources available for you guys. Okay, first off, as I mentioned earlier, I got that free starter novel template. If you want to get access to that, go to ogevinson.com/links. Okay, and if you're not a part of the Turning Writers In community, I highly recommend you subscribe to that list. You'll get access to all sorts of fun stuff. So check that out. We have our webinar library, we have our user forum, we have our user manuals, blog and video tutorials, and so much more at literatureandlatte.com and ogevinson.com/tools, and a full knowledge base. So check that out. The resources are there to help you. If you ever feel lost, just reach out to us. We'll point you in the right direction. Okay, so what is next? I have some exciting news. In case you didn't see it in my newsletter, for those of you who are new here and have any idea what's going on, I have some fun stuff coming up. We have 2 more sessions this week. We have a quick guide to creating a series Bible, and then another event on Friday with Scrivener, with author Simon K. Jones, as he teaches us about writing serialized fiction in Scrivener. And to celebrate having him this week, we're giving out a special 20% discount off of Scrivener all week long. So if you haven't yet purchased Scrivener and you're thinking about it, get yours today with that code ScrivenerXSimon at literatureandlatte.com/Scrivener. Once again, that was ScrivenerXSimon at literatureandlatte.com/Scrivener. Check that out. That's coming up on Wednesday, August 28th for the quick guide to creating a series Bible, and was it Friday, August 30th for our special guest speaker, author Simon K. Jones. And I'm so excited. Simon's a great guy. His content is excellent. I think you're really going to like what he has prepared for you. Now, before I conclude things here today, I've kind of lost access to my chat. Let me pull it up. I know there's been tons of questions. I'm going to see if I can get to those, but I want to make sure I delivered on my promise. Do you feel like you learned how to outline your novel in Scrivener today? Are you confident you can do that? If you're not, that's okay. I want to hear it. I want to learn how I can improve it, make this presentation for you. If you did, great. Let me know. I want to know if you liked it, if you liked the ideas, if you're ready to start putting them into action. So let's see it. Okay. Thank you. When does the discount expire? That's a great question. I'll look at that in just a second, Jenna. Jessica, okay. I learned a lot. Hopefully I remember how to do all of this. No, that's totally okay. That's why we got the replay there, Jessica. That's why we got the replay, so you guys can watch this again. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. It's always picked up some good tips. A bit fast, but going to watch the replay, yep, I get it. I know I cover a lot really quickly. We have such little time. I'm hoping I can do more content where it's a little bit, slower paced. I'm trying, guys. Also doesn't help. I get so excited. I'm so excited to share this stuff with you. It's so much fun. I live for this stuff, so it's great. Thank you. Okay, I'm glad. Donna says, I'm confident I need to buy a newer version of Scrivener. This one looks different from what I have, and I like it better. That's good, Donna. Well, make sure you take advantage of that discount code. I'm going to get you all that stuff here real quick. I'm going to open up the floor now for questions. I saw there's a ton of questions in there. I'm probably going to go back and steal some of those, definitely. If there are any questions that you'd like to just throw out now is the time to throw them out. Don't be shy. Let me know what they are, and I will drop down in the information in the chat real quick that I have. For those of you who are wondering about the 20% discount code, here it is. Thank you for that. Yep. Expires September 1st. Thank you, Alex, for pulling that out. If you would like my discount off my template, you can do that here. That's ZTF D10, and that discount is good until the end of the month. Okay, or actually until we reach about 100 people on that one. Let's see here. If you want to get access to buy Scrivener, if you want the link to that, I've got that here for you too. So you can purchase Scrivener right there. If you'd like to take a look at my template, make a decision there, you can also get that link right there as well. So totally up to you. I'll be happy either way, no matter what you do, so long as you're getting your writing journey started, you're having fun, you're getting your writing done. That's what's the most important to me. Now, if you have any questions beyond this, you can reach out to us, Scrivener/Mac at literatureandlatte.com, Scrivener/Win, Scrivener/Mobile, and Scap at literatureandlatte.com. And of course, if you have questions specific to me, specifically if it's about the Zero to First Draft template, I recommend you reach out to me. I can handle all questions related to that. If you have a Scrivener-related question that kind of goes deeper, maybe you're having a problem with it, a bug problem or something like that, can't figure something out, then the other email addresses are definitely there to help you out with that. Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry to hear that. That is annoying. I'll see if I can get that fixed. Because I tested that, Chris. But if it's not working for you, let me know. I'll just send you just send me an email. I'll send you the links directly because they were all working when I tested it out, the other day. So even just yesterday. Let me see. I'm gonna test it right now just to check. Okay. Let's close that out. We'll move on to other questions. I promise. This is just a quick thing I want to look at real quick. Let's see. Scrivener templates. Versions. Let's see here. So he's talking about this right here. Does that work? Oh, you're right. They're not working. Okay, thank you, Chris, for bringing that attention. I must have changed something and it killed the link. So I will get that fixed. Oh, good news about this template too is that I will update it. Okay, so if you do decide to purchase it, I will continue to update it, and you'll get those updates. And I'll let you know when an update is made. So if it changed like this, where this PDF is broken, I'll upload the new PDF, and it'll work, and you can download it directly from your account on my website. So check that out. Sorry about that. Don't know how that got messed up, but I'll get that fixed. Okay, let's look at more Scrivener-related questions now. Let me see if I can find my chat here real quick. Let's see here. So there were a lot of good questions here. Let me make sure I have the right screen shared too. I'm going to share the right screen. Yep, I may not even have the right screen shared the last time, so that's okay. Moving right along. So I'm going to scroll up here a bit. So I saw there were a lot of great questions here. Okay, so let's see how far I can go before I don't find a question. Oh, thanks for dropping in that in, guys. Okay. Okay. First off, I'd like to apologize. It looks like someone was requesting I tell you the command buttons in the webinar. I did not see that, and I apologize about that. I will see. I'll try to make a better note of that moving forward. I'm so sorry. I wish I had seen that message sooner. Oh well. But from now on, I'll try to include those as best I can. Oh, sorry, guys. Ellen, okay, where do I get it again? Okay, I think we're gonna scroll down here. Where could Gemini be? Sorry, some of these questions don't. Okay, already answered that one. I think synopsis visible. Okay, will the numbers be automatically? Will the numbers be updated automatically if you arrange the chapter scenes and chapters? Okay, so that's a good question. No, they will not be updated automatically. So looking at this right now, okay. This section right here. And that's why I don't like using chapter numbering or part numbering inside of Scrivener. Because Scrivener actually can keep track of part 1, part 2, part 3, chapter 1, chapter 2 for you. And so unless it's really, really beneficial, unless you really need to see that yourself, I recommend you don't. Because look at this. If I move part 1 around, if I move these around, right, they are going to get all mixed up. And you can see the numbering does not automatically update, right? And so, but to Scrivener, this is part 1 now. And to Scrivener, this is part 2, and this is part 3 and part 4. And this makes even more sense when we get to a lower level and you're working in scenes and chapters. You want things, you want things labeled, but you don't want them to have that numbering in there because Scrivener, like I said, can take care of it for you. It's just, I personally prefer that we just come here, give it a name, and then let Scrivener do its thing, keep track of that structure for you. So that was a good question, though. Great question, Eva. Excellent. Just asking, for what you covered today, does this apply to writing a memoir? Are there templates for memoirs? Great question, Jenna. So if you're writing a memoir, I would actually currently recommend the general nonfiction template. I have not personally created a template specific for nonfiction or for memoirs at this time. But that's a good, I mean, there is definitely an audience for that. There's definitely people who want that. So I totally hear you there. I would say, to be honest, I don't think my zero to first draft template would be good for a memoir. I'm going to point that out right now. It is designed primarily for writing the first draft of a novel. So just be aware of that. I wouldn't recommend that template for a memoir. Now, the start novel template, to be fair, it's also more geared towards novels, but because all that extra stuff isn't geared towards a novel, it might be still a good place for you to start. You just have to change a few titles, change a few names for some things. That would probably be a better place for you to start, Jen. I'm just pointing that out there. So there you go. Eva is asking, is there a way to gather the texts in the index cards into one document for print, for example? So let's see here. If I'm understanding you correctly, you want to... Are you just looking to print the index cards, right? I'm going to assume using... what do you call it? Using print. You want to print your index cards, which is pretty easy to do. Okay, if that's not true, Eva, correct me, let me know, and I'll take a peek at that for you. Okay, but let's go ahead and see if we're going to print these out. I'm actually going to open up one of my recent projects, the Otter and the Amulet. I've been using this one a lot, but it just happens to have a lot of stuff already kind of built into it. Let's see here. Let's see if I have. Yeah, let's do 1, 3, 2. Yeah, they have some in here, so we'll do that. We'll do command print. And if I'm in the corkboard view like this, you can see I can print out my index cards like so. Okay, very easily, very simply. Some of them will have nothing in them. Some you can see I'm mostly using titles. I actually prefer using titles over synopses, just a personal preference. And so you can see there, I could print these all out, right? And if I wanted to do my entire project, I would just have to open everything up here. Let's see here if I can just expand everything. It's a lot, I know, but we'll go ahead and do this. And we can do it like this, where I just select everything in my binder here. Okay, I know it's a lot. Oh, it is a lot. Let's go. It's a big novel. Okay, bear with me. Going. And you notice I didn't build this in a day. This took a while. And you can see it has all my index cards here in order. I can print that out too. See, it has 72 pages. I have all those synopses. And even if I have a color printer, it even has my labels on it, which is super handy. I like that a lot. There you go. So that's how I would print off my index cards quickly, easily, and simply. Perfect, Laura. Okay, great. I'm seeing lots of great stuff. When does the discount expire? So discount expires September 1st for both those coupons. I learned a lot. Hopefully I will remember how to do all of this. Great. Okay, I think I'm finally catching up with our messages here. Let's see here. Donna says, I'm confident. Okay, we already read that one. Another great section. Thank you, John. Okay, Laura says, I always find it helpful that you have some slides, but then go to Scrivener to show it. And I always learn things you didn't know you were teaching me. Would love to have more of these and looking forward to the others this week. Yep. Got it. They're coming. They're coming. Thank you for that. Can you print the synopsis on the index card? Well, yeah. I mean, I can't print a single one, if that makes sense. I guess I could just select one. Let's see here. If I just have, let's do this. Let's just select the prologue here. Print. So I could just print these guys. And yes, I know it looks confusing because some of these don't have anything in it, but they should come out. Champions, yeah. Oh, okay. I was wondering why this wasn't here, but because there's nothing there. It's previewing the text. So yeah, it is printing out the summary there. In this case, it looks like there's a summary there, but it's not. It's actually just previewing the text of the document inside it, right? And so it's actually, we've got our hook sentence there, and we've got that. So yes, it will print out specifically the synopsis with that index card. Yes. In case that wasn't clear, I apologize. The reason why some of mine are blank is because some of the cards themselves are blank. They don't have anything in them. Like this. Okay. And the ones that look like they're kind of italicized like that, it means if I double click it, there's nothing there. It's just previewing the text that's inside of that document, which is also handy because then I can just open it up and say, oh, I don't actually need a synopsis. I can just read the first paragraph and kind of like, okay, I kind of have an idea. I like that, but sometimes I want to know the core idea. I want to have the core idea. I have that right there. Caius is betrayed, and it just happened. I happen to know. I look at that, and I can actually tell you everything that happens inside that chapter now. I didn't need the whole long synopsis to do that. I know what happens. And so just depends on how much you need. If you need a little bit more, then add a little bit more. If you don't, then just do what I do. Have that title there and let Scrivener fill in the rest for you. Okay, looking good. Looking good. Chris says, I usually print out from the outliner. You certainly can. That's a great idea, Chris. You can print out from the outliner as well, like so. And you get different information. It's a little bit different. We get our metadata built in with that as well, which is kind of handy. So Jessica's asking, do both your novel template kits have the Save the Cat outliner option, and does that include word counts or explanations of each beat? Good question. So the starter novel does not include the Save the Cat outliner metadata option, and I'm trying to remember if I actually included the Save the Cat explanations. I don't think I did that. The Zero to First Draft template does include the custom metadata for all those beats. Yeah, that's all there. But I did not include like a word by word, what this beat means, what this beat means, what this beat means. There are a lot of great resources, free resources you can grab. You can pull that up. You can even get the Save the Cat Plotting Method book, which was an excellent book, by the way. Highly recommend you invest in that. From Jessica Brody. Excellent. Yeah. But yeah, it's not included for word for word. At some point, I may go ahead and add that in, though. That's a great suggestion. I like that feedback. So thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. That's a good idea, Jessica. CC, the freeform index card function, does it save the temporary order for you before you commit to it, so you can close the file and come back to it later? It should. It should. Yes. Let's look at that right now. I think we already did that. If we come back to, which one was it? Was it the starter novel? I think it was the starter novel, guys, right? We came in here. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the other one. But yeah, if we move things around like this, let's do that. And I close it out and come back. Yeah, it does save it there. I would say don't lean on that too heavily, though. I have seen instances where that has gotten mixed up. It doesn't happen very often, but it can. Where you put it in an order, and if it's a lot, there could be a potential. It's possible that it might lose the order, if that makes sense. So I would encourage you, once you have a good order, you commit to it if you want to save it, just in case. But as you can see, if I switch back and forth, it still has that. It's there. If I go somewhere else, let's see here. If I go back again. Yep, still there. Yep. So it does commit that to memory. It does save that somewhere in your Scrivener project. That this is the free-form order you had set up. But I would say just taking it with a grain of salt. Just bear in mind, it's a good idea to commit to that sooner than later. You don't want to hold on to that forever. Okay, looking good. So does Scrivener have a tool to check grammar if you repeat a certain word many times, for example? Good question. Yes, it does. So we have our typical spelling and grammar tools right here. These are ones built into macOS and Windows. Okay, so we do have those there. Okay, and we can click that there. We can have that set up. If we want to, though, there is also another great tool. Now, bear in mind, this tool is somewhat limited on on PC. Okay, but we do have a writing tool called the Linguistic Focus, and on PC, it is, in fact, dialogue focus. In fact, I need to find a better. Yeah, let's do it here. Okay. It is called dialogue focus on a PC because it's the only option we have currently on PC. Hopefully, that's something we will add in later. But if we go to Edit, Writing Tools, Linguistic Focus, we can see here we have Focus None. Right? We have Direct Speech, which is the dialogue focus that you would expect on your PC. Now, if you're on a Mac, you can also single out nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and you can adjust the fade of how easily you can see those. Okay. Personally, right about there is good. And it even tells you how many you have. I have 81 conjunctions. I have 331 prepositions. I have 185 adverbs. That's a lot of adverbs. I have 175 adjectives, so I can kind of break that down and kind of see what's going on there. And on top of that, I can even go to, I think it's Project Statistics. And I can look at word frequency here. So that, once again, that's project in the top menu. You go to statistics. That's Option Shift Command S is the keyboard shortcut for that. Okay. Option Shift Command S. Okay. And we can even see our word frequency. Okay. For the selected document. For the entire project. And we can even adjust it. So that's where I've used it once. The words I use the most, these pretty common words, right? You can kind of look and see which ones are used more. There you go. So hopefully that helps answer your question. A couple different options of how to view that or look at that. An editor's dream. You're right. Yeah, I agree. It is a pity that it's not available on the PC version, but we are working to bring. The PC version is really close in feature parity. In other words, they're very similar to each other. Okay, they're very similar. We're working really hard to bring it all the way together as much as we can. That's one thing I hope we will see in the near future. Just says I looked away for a second. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, don't worry, guys. It's all being recorded. You can see it again, I promise. And you can even slow me down. Go to YouTube settings and change those settings and slow me down. Yeah, no problem, Rodrigo. Happy to help you out. That's great. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this session. I think we have time for a few more questions. I actually haven't looked at the Q&A itself to see if there's any questions that disappeared there. Let's see here that I didn't get. Okay. So Ellen, yep, I see a couple there. Let me answer these couple questions. Or at least one. It looks like Alex is answering one of those. I'll answer this question about how do I project total word count? Okay, so how do you get the project total word counts per scene or chapter? That's a good question. Okay, so let's take this example right here of my book I'm working on. I want to have the word count total for a scene or a chapter. Now, for one, if you recall, oops, let's close all this up. Give me just a second here. If you recall, we could go to the outliner, right? Let's do that. And we can see here I have my total words. So that's the total words for this draft right here. Let's actually do draft 5. And you can see I have total words, I have total targets, I have total progress. I can even, so it shows me precisely how many words for each folder here. So this is the prologue, it has 2,705 words. Rise of the Shadow Mark, this is a part. It has 17,000 words. If I open up that part, each chapter has about 2,800, 3,118, right? And I can open that further and look at each scene. All right, that's only one scene there. This one has 3 scenes in it, right? 1, 2, 3. I can see how that's broken up. 1,195, 565, 1,358, okay? That's one way. Probably my favorite way to kind of see specific chapter and scenes, word counts, and their totals, right? A great way to add all that up for you so I don't have to do that math. But another great way, too, is I can actually just, if I go to View Scrivenings or Command 1 or View Document, and I select the document in question, you'll see here at the bottom, the center of Scrivener's editor, right, the toolbar there is a text statistic option here. It says 2,705 words, and that's going to be based on the documents I have selected in my binder. So if I select part 1, Rise of the Shadow here, it gives me that same word count, 17,495 out of 16,000 word target, right? If I open that up and I select chapter 1 here, Ivel the Ripper, I have 2,825 words. Open that up. The scene there's only one scene, so it's the same 2,825. If I go to The King's Champion, chapter 2 here, that's 3,118 words for chapter 1. If I select the specific scene, it gives me the specific word count for each of these scenes, okay? And also those targets, if I have those targets set up as well. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. That's how I would total that up, either using the binder and this little text statistic bar in the center here, or actually going into my outliner and just seeing it all at once for everything I have selected in my binder here. There you go. Awesome. Great question, guys. Great questions. So someone is asking, how do I change the folder where all the projects are saved? Okay, good question. So that would, the big thing is we need to find out where those projects are right now. Ideally, right, what I would do first is I would go ahead and come here. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way real quick. I would come to my documents view here. I would come and create a new folder. I would call it Scrivener Projects, and then I would create all new projects in this folder first. That's the first step I would take. So I'm coming here, I'm making a new project, right? I'm going to make sure it's saved to Documents, Scrivener folder, right? That's the first step I'm going to take. Okay. Once I've got that folder set up, then it's time to do some searching on your computer. And one of the quickest ways to find it is to search one of two file names, .scriv, like so. On a Mac, it's really easy to you just search for a name contains .scriv, or in this case, you could even just search .scriv, and you can see it's even a search for kinds Scrivener project. It'll pull those up for you, and then you can kind of find where those are, and you can find the ones you're looking for and drag and drop them into that folder. In fact, I probably would just go ahead and open up a new tab, open up my Scrivener projects, and then maybe do a quick copy all of these into there. Okay, something like that. Okay. You might want to watch out. Some of these are looking kind of, like kind of iffy here. So look, I would recommend you select the ones that are just like the ones you've been working on, right? Some of these are really old projects I've had. Oh, they're not even mine. They're something else. Okay. That shouldn't be a problem for you. Most of you probably won't have hundreds of Scrivener projects like I do. I have so many. It's insane. But yeah, you could do that and just easily bring those in. No problem at all. If you're on a PC, Windows Explorer, you might want to search for the .scrivs file. This file right here. I think you should still be able to find it with the .scriv, but if you're not finding anything with .scriv, try .scrivs, and that should pull that up too. That file is saved inside of your project folder, so you'll want to actually find them and then find out where that file is saved. Hopefully, it gives you like a file path here where you can click it and it takes you there, and you can then drag and drop that into your folder. Hopefully, that helps you out. It'll be a little bit easier if I could show that on the PC. Fortunately, I can't today, but definitely a good question. I'll see if we can get you some better PC instructions if you happen to be on a PC. Okay, looking good, guys. Okay, but let me look here real quick and see what I missed in the chat. Great, I'm glad you guys are liking this. When I use names I've invented, sometimes right-click and it gives me an ignore spelling. Certain words never give me the option. Yeah, yeah. Usually you can learn spellings, you can ignore spellings. That's a Mac OS feature actually. How to modify that or even change that dictionary is a bit challenging. So if you want to learn how to do that, I recommend you Google that one. That one's a challenging one. And says, when I add chapters, they sometimes end up in the wrong level, and it doesn't always readjust when I try to use the option to move it to the right place. Okay, Anne, I want you to introduce you to a set of tools here. Right here at the top, the Move tools. Go to your Customize Toolbar option here and drag and drop this guy onto your toolbar. Use it because it's going to save you a lot of headache, okay? Because, for example, let's say I was trying to drag this into here somewhere. I'm like, oh, crap. I dragged it there instead of inside of my chapter template. What do? Well, first off, I just move it down and move it over, and now it's inside my chapter. It's so much more precise than that drag and drop. So I recommend you use that tool. If you're on a PC, go to Help, search Customize Toolbar, and you'll find it there. You can add it. I want to say it's on the PC too, but you can go ahead and add that in. It's super useful. Okay, makes organizing and navigating and making sure things get in the right place a lot easier. To be fair, I do use the drag and drop a lot, but when it messes up, that's the tool I use to get past that. Perfect. Glad you guys like this. So Tiago's asking, maybe not the main topic today, but how can I create a thesaurus of made-up fantasy words? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to have to table that one. I like that question. It's a good idea. I'm going to have to copy this chat. There's been so many good ideas today. Floaty, we'll have to look at that later, though. We are doing fantasy next month, Tiago. For those of you who are interested, next month, we are doing a whole webinar month on fantasy, so I'm excited about that. So we'll probably that might be something I pull out and I'll think about and see if I can come up with a good answer for you next month, Tiago. Good back Mac OS bug. And thank you for making all the great content. I definitely take advantage of the replay to capture more. Good. Glad to hear that. And cheers, Oliver. Thank you. would there be a link for us to sign up for Fantasy Week? That's a great question, CC. Yes. So I'm going to be, after this week is done, okay, I'm going to set to work on getting all that stuff ready for Fantasy Week. I'm really looking forward to it. As you know, all know, I write fantasy. I'm a sci-fi fantasy guy. It's what I do. It's what I write. It's what I love. It's what I read. So what we'll do is I will have an email that will be sent out to you. So if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, please do so. Let me get you that link real quick. Get onto that newsletter. You'll get emails from me. If you want here, you can just, it's all on my Substack now. Here we go. You can just go there and sign up. You can also go to my website, ojevans.com/newsletter, and sign up. It's the same thing. Sign up for that. I'll get an email sent out early next month detailing all the details for Scrivener Fantasy Week. So looking forward to that. Oh, thank you, Ellen. Really great. You'll be back. Great. I'm glad. Hopefully I didn't lose any of you. I know sometimes if you're new, this could be a lot to take in, but I hope you had fun. I had fun. This was a great experience for me and I think for all of you. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Let me go ahead and just wrap up with those emails real quick. Okay. Give me a second. Oh, it's saving, loading. Okay, it's going to take a minute there. But let me just share my screen so everyone can see those emails again for questions you may have. Desktop 3. Play. Okay, so you guys had some great questions for me today. Thank you. Thank you so much for your questions. I love it. I love it. I love it a lot. Now, if you have any questions related to the webinars, my 0 to first draft template, reach out to me directly at contact@ojevanson.com. If you have any Scrivener related questions that, can't figure something out, something's not working, you want, that kind of thing, reach out to scrivener./Mac, scrivener/Win, scrivener/Mobile, or scapple@literatureandlatte.com, and we will get you the help you need. So that concludes our presentation on how to outline a novel in Scrivener today. Thank you all for attending and participating in this session. I hope you found it informative and useful in enhancing your writing skills. If you do have any additional questions, make sure you use those emails listed in this presentation to get the help you need. I hope you'll keep writing, and I will catch you all on Wednesday. Thanks, everyone.